We may be heading into Week 10, which clearly isn't half of the 17 weeks that you're going to play in the NFL, but at least now all the teams in the NFL have played 8 games, which they didn't last week, so now we're at the halfway point for at least everybody, so we can give out our midseason awards. Jason Horowitz, Clark Judge, Ian Eagle, glad to be with you on the Endzone presented by Sony. And Clark, midseason awards, why don't you start it off here?
Okay.
Why don't you give us the premiere?
My MVP, this week's MVP, is Kurt Warner. Last week's MVP was Clinton Portis. But Kurt Warner because look who's in first place in their division. The Arizona Cardinals. They're going to the playoffs. The Arizona Cardinals are going to the playoffs. Think about that.
Print the playoff tickets right now.
Print them right now. That's why I like Warner. Albert Haynesworth, defensive MVP, because if you see him, he's having a monster season. I don't care if it's because it's a contract run, what it is. He's having a great season for a team that's unbeaten. And I like that. Coach of the Year, it's Jeff Fisher because he's with the unbeaten Tennessee Titans. They've done a terrific job. Offensive Rookie of the Year. You can make a case for Chris Johnson in Tennessee. I make a better case, I think, for Matt Ryan because he's been off the charts with Atlanta, which is another surprise team. Defensive rookie, that was a close call for me, and I took Chris Horton over Gerard Mayo for New England. But I like Chris Horton because he's doing all sorts of things with the Redskins, defending the pass, defending the run, sacking the quarterback, doing everything. Biggest surprise, I've got Miami there. I might have gone with Tennessee, but I like Miami because I think they've really steadied the ship there. And if you look at the future here, this is a team that's going to make a run for a division title. Biggest disappointment.
And that may not be the future. That may be the present.
Maybe the present. and biggest disappointment, San Diego, because they've got so much talent. They're sitting 3-5. They're a game ahead of the Raiders. How's that possible?
Well, that's not very good. That's not very good considering they went to the AFC title game last year. All right, Ian, why don't you kick us off with yours? And, I think the theme between the three of us here, there's a lot of Titans on this board.
A lot of, and rightfully so. The Tennessee Titans have been the story in the NFL this year. I've got Haynesworth going for double duty, MVP and defensive MVP. I've gone back and forth. I've vacillated. I've had Kurt Warner on my list. I've had Drew Brees on my list. I've had Clinton Portis on my list. I think Phillip Rivers, if the team wasn't 3-5, he would even be an MVP candidate. Haynesworth has been dominant. It is a contract year, so maybe that's part of the motivation, but you just can't run up the middle against the Tennessee Titans, and he is the reason why. He's remained healthy for the most part this season. He's just having a all-world, forget about all-pro, all-world season. Huge impact for the Tennessee Titans. You look at the rookies, and again, I love Chris Johnson. That's another Titan that could have made the list, but Matt Ryan to step in, play quarterback in the NFL as a rookie, do it at the level that he has done it at, on a team that nobody expected anything from. Matt Ryan has come in, and he's really steadied the ship with the Atlanta Falcons. They've got to be pleased with the selection they made and handing over the leadership reins to Matt Ryan. Joe Flacco, honorable mention as well for the Baltimore Ravens. They didn't expect him to play in year one, and Flacco's getting the job done. Defensive rookie, had a tough time with this one. I went with Brandon Flowers, the Kansas City Chiefs. He's getting an opportunity. The Chiefs are not a great defense by any stretch. He's left out on an island oftentimes, and Flowers has made a lot of plays. He's going to be a really good player. Fisher, Coach of the Year. To me, that is the most obvious one up on the board with what he's done in the Kerry Collins, Vince Young situation. Biggest surprise, Atlanta. Just remember where this franchise was. Beyond Michael Vick, Bobby Petrino, they were nowhere. And the Falcons all of a sudden are a player once again. Incredible. And Dallas, biggest disappointment. I thought they were going to win the Super Bowl this year. Yeah, there's some other issues there, the injury issues, Tony Romo in particular. But all in all, you look up midway point, and this is not where Jerry Jones envisioned his team would be.
No, not at all, and they're in last place in the NFC East, and we'll see how they play out after the bye. They made the move to get Roy Williams. But let's take a look at my list here.
Do people really want to see your list? Are you sure?
Well, it's a little bit different here. And you mentioned Drew Brees, and here's the reason I went with Drew Brees. I agree, Kurt Warner, Clinton Portis. I think Albert Haynesworth, all those guys are great. But Drew Brees, you take a look at the Saints. They don't have defense. For most of the year, they have not had their key weapons, being Reggie Bush at some point, Marcus Colston, Jeremy Shockey. And they're still 4-4, and he's the only reason why. They could be 5-3 had they not lost that game in Denver. They shouldn't have lost that game in Denver, by the way. And you're talking about a team, if they get all these guys back, you're talking about a team that could be 10-6. Let's throw that list up there one more time. I'll go through these quickly. Joey Porter. Whether Brandon Marshall called him soft or not, his Dolphins went to Denver and won. He is leading the league in sacks on a defense that wasn't good at all last year. He's been great. Matt Ryan, it's a unanimous pick here for the three of us. Curtis Lofton on that same team. Middle linebacker is so important in the NFL, and he has been very good for a Falcons defense that is getting better with John Abraham there, a guy that I know Ian had mentioned earlier as a guy that he thought could be up there with
Should be in the mix.
Right. Jeff Fisher will go unanimous. Look what they've done this year. I mean, you're talking about a Tennessee team that at the beginning of the year, they made the playoffs last year, but I don't think a lot of people picked them to make the playoffs this year with the way that Jacksonville had been playing and Indy, and how good people thought New England and San Diego and Denver and all those teams could be. And then you talk about the disappointment of the San Diego Chargers. I couldn't agree with you guys more about that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's more wide open, I think, these awards than it ever has been, because in the past, you look at, it was Tom Brady up there, and you go, oh, Tom Brady and a cast of thousands, or Peyton Manning and a cast of thousands.
Guys, right.
But this year, it is wide open, and it's reflective, I think, in how we're picking these things. I mean, the defensive MVP, Ray Lewis for Baltimore, is having a great year, you know? John Abraham, having a great year. These guys will be heard from down the road, but I just think it's kind of like the league itself. There are a lot of teams that are out there in the mix, there are a lot of players in the mix.
Lawrence Taylor may throw his name back out there. I mean, we've been hearing from him a lot lately. He's got a video game that he's got coming out. I mean, he could throw himself out there.
We will have a completely different set of picks next week.
That's right. That's right.
This is, we are all allowed to change these. It's all subject to change throughout the season.
Yet Ian won't let me change my Super Bowl picks. It's amazing. You can change our awards.
No, we didn't bring back those, by the way. That has to happen in the next few weeks. We'll take a look at our preseason selections.
And Clark did.
I wish you wouldn't.
They're not very good. Folks, that's it for the End Zone presented by Sony. Enjoy Week 10. We'll see you heading into Week 11. For Clark Judge and Ian Eagle, I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care, folks.